What are some really, really big turnoffs that just don't do this because you will run a woman off?
Did you push record?
Thank you for tuning into Second Act TV. Happy to welcome Joni Caldwell Lerner back to Second Act, my friend and motivational coach. Thanks, Joni, for being here again.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad you're in my life.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here today for a topic that's actually been, it's been requested lately. We've done several videos, like with Robert Manny and some of the other guys, about turnoffs. You know, what are some big turnoffs when you meet someone or even in a relationship, dating over 50? And, what turns men off? And the women are saying, well, can't you do something with us? Why is it always about the men? And I'm gonna sidestep for a minute. What's interesting about that is when we first started this channel, it was only directed to women. For exactly that. What do women need to know about men? And then we got this big male audience, which I'm grateful for, but surprised by. So we're trying to do more equal programming now. So today,
I love that. It doesn't matter, but see, I learned from both sides. I learned from both segments. I think it's very valuable.
So anyway,
Right.
that beside the point. What are some really, really big turnoffs that just don't do this because you will run a woman off? And one of the first ones that I want to throw out there is
Okay.
being ignored.
Oh, this is not a good idea. So there are a lot of ways to ignore a woman. One is to be on your phone. One is to be looking around. Another is to not actually hear what she's saying and then jumping in and just speaking, because there are men that I have run into that love to hear themselves talk and all about their own importance. And I want to hear, I want to know who this human being is. I absolutely do, but there has to be a give and a take and an exchange. And and see, this is part of my job. I've learned to do what's called deep listening. And so what you do is you pause, you listen to what they're saying, you respond to what they're saying, and they hear you. Now, this is how my guy actually got me to respond to him online, because you get a lot of, back and forth and that kind of thing. But he said, I just wanted to say hello. And then he talked about my profile and how that moved him and what he found interesting about that. So he was hearing me, he was listening me through an electronic device. I went, well, this guy's good. So, so it moved to the next level, which was more conversation on email, then text, then a conversation on the phone, then coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. And feeling like your what's important to you is ignored, especially as the relationship goes on. The guy can maybe be attentive at first, but the more you start ignoring it, which some of that is natural, I suppose, but that does diminish the interest level of the woman as well. So I think it's a really important one to point out. Here, big one for me: more swagger than substance. Don't live up to what you're putting out there.
I think there's a pitfall that happens for some men, that they think that they think they know what we want,
Mm-hmm.
which is, success in business, and they talk about business and business and money, and talk about their money and their cars, and that is such a turnoff for me. And there's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and it talks about truly wealthy people wear Timex watches and drive an F-150. That's their car of choice. They're not driving for, I don't care what it just doesn't, who are you as a human being?
Mm-hmm.
What matters to you? That matters to me.
Yeah, so I love that book. Great,
Yeah.
example. Well, and that leads right into self-admiration, and a lot of men can bring that to the table. So if you're bringing that to the table, think about why maybe you're not connecting.
Confidence is sexy as hell. But confidence also comes with a humility. They don't have to prove that they're confident. They don't have to prove that this or that or the other thing. So self-admiration, look at me. Again, what it says to me is there's a low self-esteem piece here, that they think they need to list just how good they are because there's a part of them that doesn't feel they're good enough.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a turn off. And what is a turn on is that confidence, is that humility, is that this is who I am. This is what this is what I've done in life. This is what I find interesting. And I do want to tie back to the comment a minute ago about being interested in what we are talking about. So my guy is totally into the stock market. My eyes cross and then go back and turn. But I listen, and I'm learning as I go. And what I'm interested in is his passion. So I found things to be interested in. I'm interested in how that ties into what's going on in the economic world or the political world. So I find things to be interested in. So guys, I may talk about my coaching or my painting or my children, or find a piece that you find interesting. And maybe it's just staring into my eyeballs. I don't care. But I need to know that what matters to me matters to you in some level.
Right, exactly. The another one here, that preoccupation with sex, and this is meant in the context of just starting, inappropriate not touch, that I'm not talking about that, but just talking about it too soon, or it's making you feel like a sex object.
So sexual innuendo, I think that's where I want to go with this at first. Sexual innuendo and playing on sexual words and other words and that kind of thing. I don't find that attractive in any way. That's not going to turn me on. To me, sexy is a sensual quality. It is a presence. It is a connection. To me, that's sexy. But don't talk to me about sex on the first date or anything like that.
I think for the sake of giving some advice, this preoccupation with sex, like you said, just talking about it when it's not the right time. It's not funny. It's not appropriate.
Right. It's inappropriate. I love that word for this.
Then just a boorish behavior. I mean, or right. Again, we're talking about first date stuff here. Immediate turn-offs that turn a woman off at using inappropriate language or talking too loud, or that's just like, oh, who is this? Like, I'm embarrassed to be seen, with this guy. The other thing is interesting especially for our age group, chauvinism. Boy, can I identify with this, especially when I first started online dating when I was still in Texas, and the little lady, or the sweet cheeks, or
right.
Big turn off. My name is Silka.
It's interesting because a lot of people, maybe a little older than us, they're sort of trapped in how they were raised, and that was just normal. It was just going. So both the boorishness piece and the little lady piece, the chauvinism and that kind of thing. Know your audience.
Right.
Take the pulse of the person that you're with. What it indicates is a level of unconsciousness. And frankly, that's a turnoff to me. You and I have talked about this before. I love the door opened for me. I love the chair pulled out for me. I don't find that chauvinistic at all.
No.
It is old fashioned and I love it.
Yeah.
But chauvinism, which says what it does is it says you're beneath me.
Yes.
And that's a good thing to know if that's how that person operates.
I actually don't like it either if a woman calls me, oh honey, oh come here honey. I just shut down. I do not want to be called honey or sweetheart unless it's Paul saying it to me. To me, I find it and maybe if you have a tendency to say that, really think about how is this really just the way I talk, or am I being superior in my communication style? I think, for me, it's an issue. I might be alone in that, but I think it was good to point that out in here. We're starting to come to the end, and we still have
already
a few more things to say. Well, poor grooming habits, of course, that I think that's kind of obvious. I don't know that we need to hone that in. Just like men, want a stylish, fit, whatever woman, so do we. So I'm not sure that that needs much
I
discussion
actually
unless you
have, yeah, I actually have a couple things to say about that, if that's okay.
of course.
Because what you just said, so men like a stylish, put together woman, and yet their hair hasn't been cut in 2 months. They have nose hair growing out and they have antennas on their ears, and but they've got to have a stylish woman. And it's just a little hypocritical. So I'm not asking for a GQ dude. I'm asking have some self-care and self-respect and respect for me by showing up as your best person. So I would just say we're all people. Let's do the best we can. Show up, put on. There's a saying: suit up, show up and suit up, or suit up and show up. That's it. Suit up and show up. Just look the best that you can.
One other one that is big, big, big is when you're
Mhm.
out, especially in first dates, and you look at other women, ogling other women. That is just, I mean, that just like, okay, done.
Well, let's go back to unconscious.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, it is an unconsciousness. What gives you the right to be somewhere else when you're supposed to be sitting here with me? Go ahead and look when I'm not around. Go ahead and appreciate when I'm not around. But if you're going to be with me and we're in a romantic relationship, I need to know that I am the most beautiful woman to you.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I'm the most beautiful woman, because there are gazillion more beautiful women than me. But I want to be the most beautiful woman to you.
Well, it's the act of just, whoa, look at her, or something like that. And
Oh,
that does happen a few times. It's just rude. So again, we're talking about turn off. So if you want to turn somebody off, if you want to get out of a date that you don't like, do that.
do
It'll be
that. Get
done.
on your phone and then do that. And then say something boorish and burp and sexist and chauvinist. That's only if you want to get out of a date.
That's funny. Let's end on this. I thought this was funny. Bad pickup lines. I don't know if the young people still do that. I mean, our generation was plagued with pickup lines. So, what, Joni, we want to relieve them of even thinking about pickup lines.
We want to relieve you. You do not have to do that. We relieve you of the burden of trying to figure out a pickup line. Don't say to me when I'm with my daughter, "Oh, are you two sisters?" Clearly, I'm almost 40 years older than her.
Yeah, I fell in love with you when you walked in the room. Oh, yeah. There's an angel missing, and I mean,
Is
people
the
still.
sky, yeah, is the sky missing a star?
Oh God, people actually still say this. I've heard it. I mean, it's so that's why we're bringing it to your attention.
Well, I
Not
wonder,
necessary.
does it work with some women and that's why they keep using them? Or if they, maybe they just don't feel the confidence and that who they are and what they have to say is interesting enough. And I would say who you are authentically is totally interesting.
Right.
I don't want to hear those things. I want to hear who you are. It would be scary. I know I'm like all over the place, but it would be scary for me to walk up and introduce myself to a man or something like that. So I just want to say, my heart goes out to you.
There's a couple examples here that I like since you brought that up about what is a
Sure.
good line to introduce yourself. And I love this.
Oh, good.
It's like, hey, you have the nicest smile. Seems like you're a really nice person.
Mm,
I would love to hear that.
yeah.
What a nice
Yeah.
smile. I just have to tell you, you have the nicest smile. It,
Yeah. And with me, it would be, wow, you have the greatest energy. I can,
yes.
don't go as far as I can feel it from across the room. You say you have the greatest energy, and I just wanted to acknowledge you or something like that.
Yeah.
And that opens it up. You go, oh my God, thank you. What's your name?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
Here's one.
love that. You're right. I'm glad you shared those.
Yeah. Let's see. I like your laugh. I saw you with your friends and you seem like a really happy person. A guy has said that to me when I was out with my girlfriends. And I was like,
Mhm.
thank you. Again,
Yeah,
it just that makes me feel like thank you. Great,
yeah,
great
yeah,
opener.
yeah. I'm actually being seen and received by people,
Yes.
right? It's really lovely. Something that you just triggered in my head. Another turn off for me, and this is not on the list, but negative thinking, victim thinking. Talked about that. Oh man, displaying the baggage, the old relationship baggage,
Well, we did a
and
video on that, the red flags. I put that in red
yes,
flags. I put that in red.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to mention here again. It's just it's if they are that way, that's how they are.
Exactly.
And so if that's cool with you, then go to that second date. If not,
Joni, thank
sound
you.
effects.
I'm so glad we caught up again, and thank you to our viewers who asked to, have more information on or do a segment on what turns us women off, along with the ones we link to what turns men off. And as you said earlier, I think you can learn from both. So, Joni, we will link to all of your information to your podcast. Please get in touch with Joni directly if you'd like to speak with her. She's very accessible. And we'll see you next time on Second Act TV.
Have an amazing week and live your best life.
If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too, and we'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.